account?
That's my account.
Your account.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's dumb.
Or it could be your account. It could be your account, but you don't have.
Dave is now recording in progress. Oh, I'm getting a call.
Of course. The minute you hit record, that's when everybody's like, "Hey, where's Dave right now?"
Hi, honey. I'm going live on YouTube in a second.
Hi, sweetie.
Okay, love you too.
Oh,
bye.
That's how you start up. That's how you start a podcast.
So cute.
Adorable. Welcome to Inspirations Beyond Disabilities, where we talk about and beyond blindness. I'm here with Tell You Dave, Blind in NY, and the Baritone Blurb. We got Dave, Ezrick, and Jay, three of my favorite people in the world. I just thought I'd kick it off today, and then next week I'm going to ask Jay to kick off the show.
Oh, trust me, I have. Sadly, I have an intro set.
I
have thought about this for a while. I have an intro.
I am nowhere near prepared for one. I'm sorry.
Please
don't put me on the spot. Please don't.
I'm ready.
I'd like to just emphasize for a moment that I was just called Tell You Dave, and that's just weird. That's just weird. It's just an old change of a Twitter handle that I couldn't use my old Twitter handle, and I was like, you know what I say a lot on podcasts? I say, let me tell you something. I'll just be Tell You Dave on Twitter. Who cares? Not going to get Dave Moore. God forbid. I get the Twitter handle that no one's using that has my name on it.
You could actually, because I've seen.
I've tried.
You could do like I am Dave Moore official.
Real Dave Moore.
Yeah, Dave Moore.
Yeah. You would think that, Jay, you would think that one of those would be available. I guarantee you, none of those are available. They're all taken.
How about Dave Moore's cows?
Dave Moore on the internet.
Dave Moore's cow.
Yeah. Dave's angry and doesn't post TikToks. That's what
it is. This week, I don't think anybody. I don't think I've seen much from any of us this week on TikTok.
Yeah,
I think just started coming back slowly.
I think we've all realized that platform is meaningless and has no purpose. I'm just kidding, everybody. That we all clearly love TikTok, but we've all kind of exhausted our ideas. And other than riffing off each other, if I were to be like stupid things to say to blind people, right? Like Jay would be like, Dave, that was my idea.
No, at this point, no. At this point, no. Because I like to see what everybody else would have to say, because I know everybody's got something to say.
Right.
That's fine. I'm cool with it at this point. I'm 25 episodes in, so yeah, I'm cool with it.
Right, but what could I do that hasn't already been done? What could I do that's actually legitimately entertaining? This is one of those things that in this creative space that we're all in, right? This platform lends itself really well. We all can come in. There's four of us to provide a topic to talk about and discuss. And the reality is every week we have some sort of, maybe it's not, some great hilarious story that can be told in 1 minute, but it's this bigger overarching, philosophical kind of realization about our lives and how our disabilities affect us and so much more. Look at what I've done here.
I just remember Ezrick's video starting for a while. It's time for Q&A with Ezrick. And I was like, wait a minute. And then finally he was like, sorry, Jay, I'm ripping you off.
No, because at that point, somebody literally submitted a Q&A. I can't remember who. Somebody was like, how do you feel about other people using your tool? I'm like, I don't care. It's cool. I don't care.
No offense, Jay. No offense. I'm just gonna throw this out here. No, it's not the most original tune in the world.
It's not at all. It was literally done.
You were just the one in this community doing it first.
It was done on accident.
I've probably done Q&A with Dave. I've probably done that on a podcast.
Yeah,
before TikTok. It's great. It's fine. It works perfectly. And it gets to be your thing in this space, in this creative area, right? But none of us are stealing it from you when we do it. No, the best was when you asked me a question and I got to reply with it's time for Q&A with Dave. That's exactly how you handle that.
People. So the thing about TikTok, and you got to be real, the whole purpose of TikTok is seeing something else that you like and making it into your own one way or another. That's how trends have started. That's literally the whole platform. That's why you can take a sound, make a video and do it all over again. Like
Right.
it's the whole point of TikTok. So to get mad about somebody else listen, if somebody else takes my voice, I know what I sound like. Like you can look at the date and see what the original video was. Like I don't get why people get in their feelings about who did something first.
No, it's these ideas, these spaces that like the reality is everything's already been created. I know this isn't really a disability topic. Now we've kind of rabbited down to another.
Is.
But like we don't own any of these ideas. I've worked with a lot of podcasters in my day, and talking about this is a little bit weird, but like he basically insisted that he owned this market of this kind of content, and it was like it's not really how it works, buddy. Like, sure, you were the one who had this moment of realization to give it this perfect name and this idea, right? To actually execute this trend that we were all kind of leaning into and give it that name. But like that idea isn't really yours. Plenty of people have been creating this kind of format for a really long time. Mm-hmm. And to be a little bit butthurt when somebody kind of does the same thing, you need to shut the fuck up. And take a seat. And also, nobody's creating extremely original, thought-provoking effort, crazy efforts for 1 minute TikToks. I'm just going to say it. Not to say there aren't some really funny people who put a lot of work into their TikToks, because there are. But like, it's a 1 minute space. Just going to say it. You can only put so much effort into a 1 minute video.
If you post to social media, it's no longer yours. It's the property of the social media you post.
That too.
That's a fact.
That's why when you make a YouTube video, you have two licenses. Things. Mm-hmm. You can say standard YouTube license because it's YouTube's now, mm-hmm. or you can say Creative Commons, which makes it everyone's.
Right.
Those are your two choices. You don't get I still reserve the right to this 100%. No, YouTube doesn't take your content and sell it directly. Mm-mm. They sell it to other people on YouTube who then get advertised to, who then make money off the advertising. Mm. But it's weird.
Another way to look at it. How many videos do you think you've made since you've been on TikTok?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh God. 75.
70? Ezrick, how many have you made?
I honestly could not tell you for the life of me. I want to guess maybe somewhere around 150.
So out of boredom, I went to go check to see how many videos I've made since I've been on TikTok. I've been on TikTok since the 29th of December. Mm-hmm. I've made 509 videos.
Right.
Think about it. How long does a show run before it starts to get repetitive, right? How long do you think you can make videos before either something gets repetitive or you have a little bit of an idea that may seem like, oh, I've seen this before? Or how long do you think you're going to have it where you're just going to eventually not run out of ideas and try doing other different things? People have probably ran out of ideas a long time ago for TikTok, a long time ago. And the fact that somebody just goes, okay, well, I see this, maybe I can do a little bit of this, or I can do something similar to this. It's bound to happen because TikTok wants you to think about it. TikTok wants you to upload. Okay, Google, nobody asked you anything. But TikTok wants you to upload 3 times a day, every day.
So the experts say, Jay. So the experts tell us that's what they want.
1 to 3 times a day, every day. Who's got that many ideas to do that every day?
Who's got 3 original ideas every day?
3 video, like 3. All right, everybody has 3 original, may have 3 original ideas, but 3 ideas you're proud enough to put on the internet.
No, I have one really funny TikTok sketch in the back of my mind that I need to produce, and I could have done it yesterday. I went to Target. I can't tell it on here because it's such a good idea. But then I was so tired shopping for the holiday at Target last night. I'm like, but I could shoot this right now. All I have to do is shoot it. It's a 1 minute video. It's not going to take me that long. I was too tired to do it. Such a good idea. And I'm like, but no one's going to watch this. like it's a funny idea to me, but is it really worth putting this on the internet, putting in this effort?
It's always going to be the one video that you didn't plan on.
That's exactly
to
it.
the most people.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
When some jerk, says something offensive, and I just go off and reply in a stitch and be like, "Yep, you don't get to say that."
25,000.
Yeah, exactly.
25,000.
25,000 views. Hey, I've got this really funny idea. Let's put a lot of effort into it. Let's write a script. Let's do the whole thing. 27 views.
27 views. No matter how many times you upload it, it'll only get those same 27 people who watched it before. Listen, I know the feeling.
Does it matter though? I mean, just making it to get it off your chest is fun enough,
But that's
true.
And so that's why, despite having this really funny idea to do a target, I didn't do it because in the moment, in that scenario, I wasn't going to have fun doing it right then, and therefore it's not worth it.
Yeah.
It didn't matter whether people were going to watch it or not.
Yeah.
But because I wasn't going to have fun doing it at that exact moment, I'm not making it.
Yeah.
I will someday. It's too good. It's too good. It's going to sit here. I'm just going to tease this TikTok for the rest of eternity. It'll be the next video I upload, but I'll never upload it because I'll be done with TikTok right now. I quit today.
Dave just retired from TikTok. You heard it here first.
Yep. 1,100 followers. I quit. I'm done.
Dude, Jesus.
I have like 25 followers, I think, maybe. So I don't even really care. I mean, but like I said, I've been making created videos. I've been putting a lot of time and effort into my TikToks, and I get no views. And then one day I walked outside of the house and I was like, hey, I was just on Adam Has a Beard's podcast, 600 views, and I was just like, TikTok just wants teenage girls with no bras bouncing up and down, and those are all the ideas you need. And anybody else trying to use the space for anything like a social agenda is just going to be knocked down, But what I love about TikTok is, from Molly to Caitlin to Shy, they bring up these topics that we can then expand on, and that's what I think is amazing, is there isn't enough space in TikTok to expand on the topic. Like Ezrick had a topic today that I'd like to start discussing, and there's no way that we could do that as well in a series of 1 minute TikTok separate from each other.
I'm feeling a transition coming on, Ezrick.
All right. Well, the topic that I was bouncing around with you guys was the simple fact that I know a lot of us have hobbies that I know somebody from the outside looking in would go, why would a blind person want to be interested in that? Like, I know for, Dave, you and Jay, it's gaming, you guys, I wouldn't say hardcore gamers, but you guys, are more into gaming than I would say I am. Like, for me, I just play racing games. And for me, it's cars. My father's a mechanic. I've grown up around cars my whole life. I can never drive one. I personally don't even think I could physically wrench on one, but for some reason, I still find myself on YouTube watching videos about cars, watching builds, watching the newest car releases. Like, why? I don't know. I'm still sitting here trying to figure this shit out.
But see, that's the beautiful thing. I always say somebody's got to be the first one, right? So don't say that you'll never wrench a car, because you could be one of the very first ones in this community to ever do it and do it effectively.
It's funny that you say that, because there is a man in Illinois. I think I mentioned this in our chat the other day. There's a man in Illinois who's, I don't know if he's completely blind or has some sight. Somebody needs to find him, and we need to get him on here one day. But this man, wrenches on cars, and for some reason, his son reached out to Mercedes, and they flew him out all the way to the desert in Oregon and let him drive some high power, fast Mercedes through the freaking desert. Like, where's my free drive?
Listen. If you give me space and a car, a Mercedes that just floor and go, so long as you can show me where the brake is, I'm going to be out there all day. I'm going to be driving that all day.
Same.
that just the opportunity to say I got a chance to drive a Mercedes in a safe space. Now, knowing my luck, it'd be some random traveler just walking through the desert at the same time. But like, if I can get an opportunity to just floor it, I honestly think that would be dope. I think that would also make one heck of a podcast episode.
Just to do donuts, not even floor it. If I could just run circles for a couple of minutes, I'd be happy.
Yeah. I'd be happy just to have a car in a garage that I could like look at.
Yeah.
Just, fix up, like wax, like clean, like just get a new part for. Because, what's weird is like, I was thinking to myself, my fingers see better than my eyes do.
Yeah.
And so with like working on a motor, it's an equalizer because nobody can see into there, but my fingers are better than theirs. So I have an advantage there in spots where nobody can see, and I think that's amazing. That
you would think that, but the inside of an engine bay is the hottest place on earth. I swear to God. I think one time I was in my dad's shop and accidentally leaned over an engine, and for some reason he was like, "That was just running," and I was just like, close. I wasn't even like, touching the engine, but you could feel the intense heat off of the engine. So yes, we have the lovely, these fingers that are meant to read Braille, meant to find knots in people's bodies when we, give massages. Shout out to Sadie. But you would think, that's fantastic, but I'm pretty sure the thermal gloves or the gloves that a mechanic has to wear limits the sensation that you're going to get, as opposed to our bare hands.
That's true. Yeah, I can't. There's a lot of things I can't do with gloves,
What was that?
Right. That was Dave coming back. Remember, his internet goes out every time.
Yeah. Okay. But I honestly think that like that kind of passion, there's a way to get into that field to be someone who can rent your car. You know what I mean? Like to be able to, because I know a lot of times I've heard, and again, I don't know a lot about cars because I actually went the opposite way you did. I always felt like, man, if I'm never going to be able to drive it, why learn about them? Right. But like I always hear people talk about, you got to listen to the engine, you got to listen for this, you got to listen for that. Who better to listen for it than us?
I can troubleshoot. I can troubleshoot a car like nobody's business. I'll be like, "Hey, your brake pads are worn," or "Hey, you're missing you're missing a spark plug," or your oxygen sensor's off."
That's me sometimes. That is me sometimes. I will be sitting in my mom's car. She'll be like, "Do you hear that?" I'm like, that sounds like either the hub, the tire." And then we actually, funny thing, the day that I went to Philly for my surgery, the day before, we were driving, and by the grace of God, we made it, because when we showed up to University City, my mom stopped and looked at her back tires, and they were almost bald to the point where they were just threads.
Wow.
And as we were driving, she was like, "Do you hear that?" I was like, "Yeah, I hear that. It sounds like, it could be the hub, it could be, the tire." And then as we were driving, I smelled, we both smelled like something burning. I was like, what is that? And the smell went away. It didn't hit me until we finally stopped in Philly, and she looked at the tires. I was like, that smell that we were smelling was the tires just burning, the rubber, just chunks of rubber falling off.
Oh.
And hey, we made it, and I guess we were supposed to make it.
Yeah, that's a scary feel. I've been in a car that happened, man. That is definitely a scary feel.
It's not so much that like when you open the hood, right? Like as a non-mechanic, you're going to open the hood and be like, I know what's going on, right? Especially someone who doesn't have their own car, driving their own car, right? But when we open the hood, I can be like, it's making a weird sound and it's coming from this thing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so you're able sometimes, if you like pull up an engine schematic, right, of like, here's what the hood looks like under this car. And you can then be like, oh, this thingamajigger is this. This is the thing that's making clearly the wrong sound.
Yeah.
The rest of the car is being fine. It's not that I know how to fix that. It's not any, it's not any use. This is why I probably play so many driving games. It's because I can't drive. Right. That's kind of where it is. It's like Forza Horizon 3 is the greatest video game ever made. And not only that, because it's the best open world ever, but just driving, like every single car you can imagine across Australia is just amazing. Like,
see, if driving games are an indicator of how like passionate you are about driving, I should never be behind the wheel. I stink at those games. Like, I mean, like, I'm the guy that like I'm on, as soon as you hear go, I'm hitting everything. Like,
no one said I was good at it.
Same.
If anything, it's proof of how dangerous the reality would be. I think it's really great when I get bonus points for knocking over the sides of the highway walls. Right?
Yes.
That's great. But that works in a video game. But the reality is, if I were driving that car, I'd probably do that in real life too.
Yeah.
It's if anything, it's proof of how bad it is. That doesn't mean I can't love the passion of the idea of driving.
True.
Like loving cars, loving those kinds of things. That's what, a lot of this, it's a consistent thing. I feel like, at least for me, is being told you can't do something.
Yeah.
It's never you can't do it. That's never really the thing. It's just you might have to do it in another way.
Right.
If I really wanted to drive a car, right? We're on the car thing. I can't legally. I can't really drive a car. But like, don't tell me there's no reason those derbies where they go smash a bunch of cars together, right? They put big metal cages on the outsides of the cars, and you go smash them until till cars can't run anymore at the county fair. Like, don't tell me I can't do that.
Or bumper cars.
Or bumper
cars. That's
cars.
The whole point of just crashing.
Right. The whole point is to crash. What am I going to do? Crash it? Who cares? Like, there's nothing stopping me. But so at the same time, it's like, all right, so, right, I shouldn't go driving down, a highway during rush hour on a way to work, right? That doesn't seem smart, right? But if I were to decide that I really, really, really want to drive this car, right? This is my dream. This is the coolest car in the world. I want to drive it. There is no reason that I couldn't go rent out, a private space, maybe a really big flat blacktop parking lot, right? That's just massive with not a lot of obstacles. And let me drive the car around. It's not going to hurt anyone. It's not that. What?
I did that once.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't. I was about 8. I was about 8 years old. My dad, he had this old car that he let me drive in this parking lot where they were going to build a Pathmark or a grocery store there, and they hadn't quite built it yet. So it was just parking lot. All it had was like old signs, like old slow down or handicap signs, or and it had those big light poles, like when you go to like a Target or a Walmart parking lot at night, had those. When I tell you I hit all of them, I mean, like, I wasn't even aiming for them. I hit all of them. 8 years old, and the only reason why he let me drive solo is because I could see over the dash and like hit the pedals at the same time. And I tell you, I bent over like handicap parking signs. I smashed into like 2 of those like huge light poles. And as a kid, something was really wrong with me because I was laughing the entire time, like zero fear. Just every time I hit something, I would laugh hard.
But see, this isn't the thing though. Is like you went into a parking lot that it was abandoned, but there were still things to hit. What I'm saying is, as long as there's nothing to hit, like at all, in a controlled environment, we have an opportunity to do those things. I'm a black diamond skier. If we're gonna transition here, right? Mm-hmm. Which means I've made it to basically the highest level of skiing that you can without being, doing tricks and jumps and doing fancy stuff. And I actually started doing that training, but to say I could do it is lying. Right now, here's my blind privilege coming into play. I hate that term. I hate it so much, but somebody said it on the internet and I hate it, but it eats me inside. I wanted to join ski club in middle school. It was one of the biggest things I wanted to do over and over and over. And I was in a small group reading class, like small group English, because when you can't see, it's easier to be in a class where, you're not trying to keep pace with a bunch of people who can see normally, right? You're keeping pace with a bunch of people who have various levels of learning disabilities, but you're able to work at basically your own pace because there's 6 kids. Point of this story, this teacher ran the ski club, right? So she knew me very well, very, very well. And for, years, for basically a year and a half, I was like, I want to do this. And my mom's like, no, Dave, you can't ski. It's not safe. It's not safe. You can't do it. Over and over and over and over. And I was like, but I want to do this. I'm going to do it. Right. And at some point, I convinced them that I was capable of doing it and I could go. Now, that came with a caveat. I got a private instructor. You don't go to ski club, you get on the bus with everybody else, but when you get off, you don't go to the here's 55 other kids and they're all going to go do the bunny hill together for 4 hours. Right? They go, we probably shouldn't put you with all the other normal kids, right? That seems kind of dangerous. You're going to be, you're going to need special accommodations, but in turn, we're just going to give you a private instructor. You're going to wear a big giant orange vest that says blind skier on it. Now, that sounds embarrassing and horrible and whatever, especially as a child. Guess what? It's not, because by the end of the first day, I'm no longer on the bunny hill. I'm way past the bunny hill. We've exceeded that because I have a teacher who's like, no, you can handle this. Here, let's go up here and let's go do literally by the second week, you're going to be doing the lifts and the real hills. Then that's the benefit you have with 5 hours of private lessons. And the other benefit of a giant blind skier vest is people get the fuck out of your way. No one wants to be in the way of the guy wearing the blind neon vest that says blind skier.
I can't see.
Get out the way.
If you're going to run into someone and you're wearing that vest, they're going to be like, oh, damn, bro, that was on me. Right? That's pretty much what's going to happen because it's on them. So sure, people in bright colored jackets and things. And now that I have enough control and balance and, I know the thing, I'm not going to run into people. I probably could go without that vest now and be perfectly fine. And I have done that, but it's it's a real luxury for people to get out of your way. And so that taught me that being able to get to that level and that competency in this hobby, right, proved to me that despite my disability, I can kind of do anything I want. There is no real limitations. The only limitations are your ability to find the person who's willing to teach it to you the way you want to, or the person who's willing to put in the extra effort, or in the case of the driving thing, right? I could really just deck out a very cool virtual simulator of racing and race cars all I want, or drive cars, or drive truck driver simulator, or do whatever I want. So I really want to drive. I can do it in another way, or I guarantee you, if that opportunity exists to find an absolutely empty area to drive on, it might be, hey, they're building a Walmart, right? They're building a Walmart here, and they've allocated this amount of space, and it's not going to be here forever. But there's this giant empty space. If you talk to the right person, you get a car, go drive it around the really empty space before they fully pave it or do whatever.
So I don't know. I think you bring up a valid point, but there's also a point that you brought up that you didn't mention that I think that you also need. You also need the desire to actually do it. Because patience. You get a lot of people who they get told that you can't do something, and that's literally the end of the story for them. Like, oh, well, you can't do this. This isn't meant for you. This isn't built for you. And people just kind of go, okay. And they kind of leave it and live with a life of regret. I think it's better to actually try it. Even if you're not sure 100% that you're going to be able to do it fully, at least I always feel like attempting it is better than later on regretting not ever having done it, right?
Every time. I
remember people growing up, I told the story, people used to tell me okay, certain points of academia really aren't set for blind or visually impaired individuals. Beyond high school, you might as well just hang it up because a lot of it's not accessible. There's a lot of reading you're going to have to do, and your books were not going to be accessible to you. Right. It wasn't until I went to college and actually tried and actually seen, okay, well, this is accessible. That's accessible. Okay, well, now they're making improvements in this.
I can accommodate this myself.
Right. There's other things I can do for myself.
Way? Right.
At least there's an attempt there. Right. And many people especially with hobbies, many people just go, well, you know what? I don't think this hobby's ever going to be for me. I remember Dave, it was me, you, Shy, and it was a couple other people on a Discord call a couple of months ago. And I just remember throwing it out there because I have an Xbox One and I had practically given up because my vision had changed to the point where like a lot of the games I have are just like, no, this just isn't set for me. Right. I wanted to give up on gaming altogether. If they didn't tell me about like the accessibility for the Nintendo Switch, like that right now, like is my goal to actually get a Nintendo Switch because I love video games. Like I love playing video games, and to know that there's a space of people, because 9 times out of 10, if you have a hobby that you want to do, there's probably a space of blind or visually impaired individuals attempting to try to do it too. So if you find enough people to like, hey, let's include this person, or let me see if I can include myself in this space so that I can at least play, maybe not to the full extent, but to some extent so that I'm able to enjoy it, you'll actually be able to enjoy your life. I think a lot of people are miserable and depressed and angry and hate their life as a blind or visually impaired individual because they've given up on the things that they found joy in. Instead of finding a way to modify it.
That goes beyond disability, though. People are just angry about not doing something that they think they're going to fail at already. They don't try it. They just give up, and then they get angry at themselves.
No, and
not
see
being
this
able to do something they never tried.
Sure.
I love my mother. I absolutely do. Right. But there is the bit of me that said, over and over and over, she said, you can't do this. You can't do this. It's not safe for you to go skiing. It's not safe for you to do these things. And yet I did it. I proved it wrong. But I think if I hadn't done that, right, if I hadn't been so insistent as a angry tween, right, demanding that I get the opportunity to try, or if I had failed absolutely miserably, right, and this may have been part of the concern, right, is that could push you into a very negative space, right?
Yeah.
It is always depressing to go to the eye doctor and be told, don't drive, never drive anything. Don't operate any sort of motorized thing at all, right? My entire garage is full of woodworking tools.
I love woodworking. Yeah.
I was determined during this pandemic, like I think everybody took on a hobby, to take an actual woodworking class, and then the price of lumber exceeded my budget, right? So I have all the tools. I acquired all the tools, was ready to go, and they're like, yeah, sorry, you can't buy wood. And yet, my dad comes into my garage and goes, Dave, that saw could kill you. And I'm like, yeah, it could kill you too.
It's not exclusive here.
Yeah, respect the tool. like I get it. And I probably shouldn't be making very fine, narrow cuts anywhere near my fingers. But guess what? Neither should you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
My measurements, look, I am aware of how not perfect my measurements can be. Right. I am taking all that into account. I know my own limitations, right? And if there's something that's in this project that I specifically know I shouldn't do that, the same way you probably know you shouldn't be plumbing in this house that you don't know anything about plumbing in, right? Is like, I am willing to take those risks. I'm willing to judge that bar myself, but I've learned that over time. I will eventually carve wood and do the things that I want to do. I love the way wood smells when it carves. I love it. It's not safe. It's not safe for anybody.
It is safe.
Don't tell me I'm blind.
Neither is sewing. Like there's no hobby that's ever going to be 100% safe for everybody. The challenge is can you modify it? Like I love seeing stories and videos about disabled individuals who like literally went against their specific limitation to try something and make it like their own, like to do something incredible. Those are the people that I feel like we don't talk about enough or even know about enough, because
this is the thing is no one goes, all right, Dave's visually impaired. He went and got a visual arts degree. I have a degree in visual arts. It doesn't get me shit because my art isn't good enough. That's a whole nother argument, but that's not related to this point. But like the irony in that, I realize it, right? I'm a blind individual with a visual arts degree, a visual arts and communications degree. What good is it doing? Nothing. It's a piece of paper that I get to laugh at every morning. But it's still like it definitely goes opposed to what I'm capable of, or what I've been told my entire life. Has been told my limitations are. And that's there's this weird stigma in society to assume that people with any form of disability are completely incapable of anything.
Well, because the nature of society is to tuck you away once they find you're disabled. And anything beyond being tucked away is considered intrusive. Like, how dare you, want to actually do something with yourself, with your life? How dare you have a passion or a dream? How dare you have hobbies? And you wonder why. What is it? Almost 44% of people who are blind deal with some type of mental health issue. A lot of people are dealing with anxiety, depression, anger issues, and a lot of it is because you're living a life of regret because you trusted people to tell you what you can and can't do, and now you hate life. You've literally got a chance to do nothing with your life, and that's one of the things I try to encourage people about. Like, there's no matter how old you are, no matter how young you are, if you've got a dream, if you've got a passion, if you've got a goal, a desire, go for it.
You can do anything you want at any point in your life.
Yeah, because I'll tell you this: there's one hobby that I went for, and there's one hobby I honest to God wish I did. I went for martial arts. I went for Taekwondo because my mom was terrified of me trying martial arts. She was afraid I was going to hurt somebody. I was like, Mom, is that the point of martial arts, to learn to hurt? But I was like, but she's terrified that I'm not going to see something coming, which you don't see something coming. But the beautiful thing in martial arts is they teach you how to sense something coming. Like, you can prepare yourself for it. But then the other one I didn't go for was football. Like, I had the size ever since I was a fat kid. I just was like, and I've been told so many times, oh man, you would make a great defensive lineman, offensive lineman. What's your job? Block something, push something over. I'm like, who's the perfect guy to run into something full speed? But me,
it's funny that you said that.
You've hit enough things already. Right. You're prepared for it.
I walk into poles and who else has that kind of training? I walk into walls and don't get hurt. Who else is prepared for the NFL but me?
Well, when you're on the line, the guy across from you grabs you as soon as you go.
Yes.
So you're connected, and then it's just a wrestling match to push. I think that's fun.
Yes. And I to this day I wish that I would have done it. I wish I would have gone into football as a kid.
So we're gonna organize a blind football game. I'm down. I'm 100%
down. I just wanted
to be a receiver.
We'll just get a really big ball. That's literally the only modification we really
football.
We need to. I'll play blind football. Come on.
So will I.
This sounds great.
I just wanted to interject. It's funny that Jay was saying this. In college, I hung out with the guys on the rugby team, and they would always joke around. Ezrick, you should play rugby. You'd be perfect for it. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you wouldn't even be able to see them coming. You just run. All you got to do is just run forward. Just run forward. I'm like,
can you imagine your new specific job? Like, don't worry about getting the ball. Your job is just mow people over. We'll run behind you. You just mow everything else over.
I mean, that's the thing though. And this is it. It's like, all right, you want to do this thing. You can do it. Yeah. You just have to find the way to do it. Yeah. Right. You're not going to be the greatest quarterback ever made, in football. You're not going to be the best running back. You're not going to be the guy who catches the ball and goes for it. I don't really know football positions. I like football, but I don't. Right. But I just want to clarify in case I'm screwing this up completely. But you might make a perfect defense player, right? Because the reality is your uniforms are all different colors.
Yeah.
As long as you know which position you need to take a guy down, he's standing in formation. Right,
right in front of you. Right.
As long as it's right in front of you, as long as you can see him well enough, which and look, different
even
levels of vision. Even if you can't,
if all you can see is color, hit the guys in the blue.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah. They're right. Whatever your limitation is, whatever your disability is, right. There's a way to accommodate it. There's a way to involve you, and this is another thing. Is public schools and stuff don't do this well, right? It it's everybody plays everything. Everybody tries everything once. Everybody does a thing. That's not really how it works. It's not how it works really for anybody, disabled or not. Is everybody has their own set of skills and the things they're good at, right? Yeah. The way that we can hear an engine in a car, we know where the problem is. If you need somebody to identify where something is coming from just based on sound, I guarantee you we're better at it than most people. And it's just because we're trained to do it. We're practiced. That's it. That doesn't mean the guy throwing the baseball at me to catch it, right? That doesn't mean I'm going to be good at that.
Oh God, no.
No. God, no. God, no way in hell.
I can throw with accuracy. But here's the thing. With any.
Here's the thing, right? So they modified baseball. There's a version of baseball called baseball, right? Yeah. So that was basically somebody saying, I want to play baseball. I may not be able to play it in the traditional sense, but dang it, I'm going to find a way to play baseball and have other people like me who enjoy playing baseball play baseball. Heck, there's a Paralympics for a reason. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like somebody said, I want to compete. I want to play a sport, and I'm going to do this the best way that I can. These things exist because somebody said, I'm not going to give up on my passion. Now, imagine if they did that for driving. Imagine if they did that for racing. Can you imagine them being able to modify a bumper car and being able to allow like an actual like NASCAR type of situation for blind and visually impaired individuals?
I mean, we're at the point with VR and computers and electronics that like you really could make virtual cars.
True.
Right? True. That feel and work like regular cars, and you sit in them and they don't actually go anywhere, but all the windows are screens. Yeah. And you're looking around just like any other real environment.
That's in Dave & Buster's now.
Right. Yeah.
That's actually in Dave & Buster's now.
Right. And there's no danger in you doing that. It, like the accommodations.
Unless you have road rage. Then,
and the reality is if there's something you want to do, one, I bet you at this point in our society as educated people, I bet you somebody has already accommodated it. In some way. It's just finding it, and I bet you it's online because the internet has everything. The other reality is if it hasn't been done, really think about how you could make it doable. You have this power, you have this ability, and sure, there's going to be limitations in your way, funding, money, the expertise, the things, right? But that isn't really stopping you, right?
Here's the way around money. I guarantee you, a lot of these companies are looking for positive PR. They want to be seen as accessible, right? You have PlayStation and Microsoft now wanting to be seen more accessible than ever before.
Jay, when are we starting an accessible gaming channel? When are we?
By the way,
I'm for that. Listen, I'm for that. Let me know. But what I'm like. So there's guys I believe already in that space who try to like work with Microsoft and that's always been my
and they are.
So imagine having enough people being like, hey Microsoft, hey Sony, we have this many people who would be interested in a racing game that is tuned for the blind and visually impaired. Because now it's to the point, I believe it was Blind Press. So shout out to Blind Press.
I was just about to touch on that.
Yeah, she made a video where they made a blind fighting game tournament on Xbox, and it was in their top 8. Like it was something that they put out on the forefront of just blind and visually impaired individuals going at it, playing a fighting game. They care now. So if you can get the people, if you can get the numbers up, and I guarantee you, getting the numbers up ain't gonna be hard. It's just a matter of throwing a video out on TikTok or on Instagram.
I'm working on a blind gaming league. I haven't completely forgotten about it. Shy people have reached out to in the space of me joining this TikTok thing. I'm working on it still.
I'm in. Like I'm telling you, that's something that now will draw the attention because these companies want to be more accessible friendly. Because now that they realize because of the internet, hey, we didn't know blind people would want to play this game. We didn't know deaf people would want to play this game. We didn't know people with like they came up with a whole controller for people who have limitations with their hands. Like they want to be in this space. So why not open the door for them? Like it's not like I don't think it's gonna be an uphill battle like fighting for, I don't know, say accessibility on TikTok, but like it should be like something I think that they would definitely be interested in.
Look, everybody in this space of making things wants to get it to more people. Everybody wants them to participate in the hobbies that they're creating, their sports, their games, right? These are things that they want communities to form in them. And that's the thing. Here's and this is gaming, and then I'll go away from the gaming thing because I know this isn't a gaming podcast. Dave, you're not on a gaming podcast. But like, I find games, and the games that I enjoy are accessible not because developers made them accessible, and not because they're inherently accessible by default. Like, they don't have the settings, they don't have the things. They just happen to be games that I can either accommodate myself, or they just happen to be completely accessible on their own, right? And I'm playing the new Ratchet and Clank game on my PS5 that got delivered during the show last week.
Funny how that is. I grew up on that series as a kid.
It is developed by Insomniac Games. It is running on the same engine, exactly the same engine with almost the same menus and everything as Spider-Man 2016, like the PS4 game.
Oh wow!
Now, as a huge Spider-Man fan, as a huge Marvel fan, as one of those people, right?
One of those people.
Spider-Man was one of the games I was going to buy, whether I could end up playing it or not. That game is incredibly accessible. The map, you can zoom in quite a bit. The counters, 90, like the where you're going is 90% of the time easy because you're Spider-Man and you can just kind of swing around all the time. That makes it kind of easy to get to places. And like enemies can, you press a button and it shows you, just kind of like in Batman where it shows you where the enemies are, right? And the combat lets you press a button and you're already at the next dude. Like, that's because you're Spider-Man. You just swing over to him by pressing one button, right? That's great. Now, Ratchet and Clank, on the other hand, the map is all platforming based. It's very much the entirety of the purpose is to get over here, to go through this thing. The details and the artwork is incredibly hard to decipher, because you're using the same, like, here's the map. The map works exactly the same, but you're putting a little cursor on screen and you need to somehow manipulate the environment to get there versus just, swinging across New York. I find it incredibly difficult. I find it hard to play. I find it difficult. It's built on the same thing. It works almost exactly the same way. The button controls are almost exactly the same, but just the way that Spider-Man moves is accommodating in itself, and Ratchet is not. And I am having a much less of a fun time because I cannot see what I am doing well enough to enjoy myself as much as I should. And that, it's disappointing, and I haven't quite given up yet, but I am definitely aware of how that has changed for myself. So I don't know what that means. I don't know what that entire rant was about, but it's I find certain games easier to play than others.
Yeah.
And it's not them making efforts to make the games easier. It's just every individual game is different for every individual person.
So what other hobbies have we found what other hobbies have you told somebody that you have that like shock?
Can I touch on something really quick?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, of course.
Because you're talking about starting hobbies and overcoming this stuff. And what I find is the issue is people, they want to start something, but then they want other people to do it for them and get them through it. And I think just finding the space to do things myself. I think about like using the laundry. I hate when somebody tells me how to use it because then I never know. But once I go in there with my camera and I learn it, then I know how to do it. And it's the same with these hobbies. Woodworking, it sucks. You're going to cut yourself and then be like, fuck, I can't do that again. You know what I mean? You're going to trip. You're going to be at a weird angle and you're going to figure it out for yourself.
I'm definitely going to be
yourself.
I'm definitely going to be the guy that learns to not cut his fingers off by cutting one finger off.
Right, but that's what I'm saying is that blind people, we have to run into everything in the parking lot before we realize the path. It's what you were saying about the video game. It's like, this isn't fun. Like, teaching myself to accommodate myself in a video game that isn't prone to accommodation is not fun. But months from now, you're going to be like, man, it's finally fun because I spent all that time irritating learning every inch that other people don't. Other people follow that map, and they're like, they just do the map, but we can't see that map. So we're wandering everywhere. We're finding Easter eggs in places nobody knows, and we don't even know they're Easter eggs because we think it's just on the map.
I'll give you a real good example of that. So like, I wish I could turn my camera. Actually, I can. I just don't want to. So I bought a new keyboard. Like, one of my hobbies is music composition. Like, I love to create scores of music. Like that's just my passion. Like, I want to, as a hobby, like I want to be able to create music for film and television.
Yeah.
The more advanced instruments you buy, the more advanced virtual instruments you buy, the more complicated the controls are. Like, I mean, like super complicated. Cheap instruments, they sound terrible, but they're easy to use. They're just, you just hit it, you play it. It sounds awful. You try your best to make it not sound awful. The more pro sounding instruments you get, the more you have to learn how to tune the knobs, the controls. You have to learn the faders, the sliders. You have to learn how to use certain pedals. It's work. And if you look at it at first glance, it will, as a visually impaired individual, frustrate you. It will make you mad. But if you sit down and learn those controls, and even they give you the option to like modify things and save it the way that you want to, but you have to learn it first. Like, you have to sit through before you can sit down and just play with it like a toy. You have to sit down and go through what I call the suck. You have to sit there and learn it and work it. It's just a matter of, are you adverse to the work when it comes to doing what you love? Many people are adverse to actually doing the work. They want to have the passion, but they want it to come easy. Nothing, in my experience, nothing being visually impaired has ever really come easy.
And
all of it is going to be the work.
It's always going to take you more effort.
Yeah.
You're always going to have to be prepared to suffer.
Yeah.
A little bit. That's why when I say I'm not having fun with Ratchet and Clank right now, I've had it.
Right.
I've only had it a couple days. I haven't got what I consider through the opening of the game.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, am I giving up? No. Is it going to be sucking until maybe I figure out how to actually play it? Yeah. Everybody else would have blown in through this segment in 30 minutes. I have now put in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I'm going to continue to put time in and effort. Also, part of this thing you brought up is like, sometimes I kind of just want to be left alone with it.
Yes. That's
like I don't want anybody over my shoulder
telling you what to do. That is annoying.
Oh, you shouldn't do that.
Yeah,
it's my trigger. It's my trigger.
To make sure you turn left right there. Make sure you didn't screw that on quite tight enough. It's like, okay, well, here's the thing. I'm using a wood carver right now, and I don't know what I'm doing, and it's new to me. And yeah, sure, I fucked up a couple of my nubbins. I don't know what else to call these because that's how intelligent I am with these things, right? By not putting them on entirely correctly, because reading the manual was difficult in its own, and understanding it and reading it and manuals, right? So sure, you tighten on these things and then you can use them to carve into the things. And I put on a couple of them on wrong, and they literally shut off and bent, and so they're basically trash, right? But now that I understand how this all attaches, how these clips actually feel and pop together and everything, right? Things I couldn't see, things I had to learn that I did wrong,
right?
I understand how it works,
right?
And therefore I'm now efficient enough at it. Now I still don't like anybody looking over my shoulder when I'm trying to figure out these stupid visual based things.
I hate it. Yeah.
It's also less fun when they do, like when somebody's always trying to tell you exactly step by step how to do it, because they have to be, the thing you have to realize is that you have to be patient with people when you're telling them how to do something. Because now, like, you could say, hey, click on this here, or do this here, or turn this here. I have to visually be able to find it first. And then once I find it, I have to be able to navigate it and work into a way. Like, people usually don't have the patience to even instruct you to kind of do those things. So it makes the thing that you're doing a whole lot less fun. If I'm making mistakes, let me make the mistake, because 9 times out of 10, once I make the mistake, I'm going to learn how to do it right. And now I'm going to know why you shouldn't do it this way instead of the other way.
So when you want to help me, wait for me to ask you, because I'm going to get to a point of frustration, and then I'm going to be like, how do I get past just this? Don't tell me how to do everything else. Just this point, because and that's how I learn is by repetitively running into the wall until the wall's not there.
Yeah.
You know?
I did that on so many video games where I thought I was walking down just a really long hallway. I was just walking into a wall for like 10 minutes.
I think we've all been there. I think if you haven't done this as a VI or blind person in a video game, you're not living.
You're not telling me how you managed to do that, because I have walked into so many walls.
I want to say, on the other hand, like my friend was like, I was like, I'm going to clean the kitchen cabinets because we just moved in, and he's like, well, you don't see well enough to do that. I'll do that because you can't do that. And I wasn't stubborn enough to go, you know what? Go ahead and clean the cabinets. It's not like that's I need to prove that I can do. You go ahead and do that. In fact, you clean everything. I don't see very well at all.
That's fine.
Sometimes we'll take advantage of that. Don't assume that anybody. This is another thing. Don't ever assume that anybody can't do something ever.
Right.
Everybody is capable of certain things. If I spent enough time trying to figure out how this stupid thing goes together, and I've given up. And I'm just like, at the point, you'll know. I'll tell you, I'm done. I'm done. I don't get it. Just put this thing together for me. Right. Gripes, PlayStation 5 gripes. That thing comes with a stupid ass stand that has to be screwed onto the bottom. F you for your nonsense. It's just a flathead screwdriver screw-on thing. It's not that freaking complicated, but you got to pop out these little pieces of plastic. These can be re-popped back into this extra thing so that you don't lose them. All sorts of things. That thing took me, what I guarantee you is everybody else's experience, 5 minutes to put together. It took me like a half hour. I figured it out. I did it by myself. If I had had anybody standing over my shoulder though while I did it, I would have been livid. I would have been on my last nerve. Thankfully I had the time to be frustrated that I was annoyed that I couldn't see it, walk away, go get a beer, drink a beer, watch a TV show, go back to it and be annoyed, figure it out, because no one was here. No one was here to tell me how to do it. And if I wanted it to be done, I had to do it. Thank God. But through that struggle, through that pain, one, left me with a bad taste in my mouth because I was frustrated the whole time. Second, but I did it. And that's the thing is, I understand why people in this predicament of visually impaired or disabled in any way are angry, right? I understand why you can be so angry that you would just give up. I understand why you could just throw your hands up and be like, I can't do anything, right? But you can't live that way. You will never live anything. Sure, there are times where you need to throw your hands up and say, I can't do it. It happens.
If you have somebody you can trust as a support,
But right, that's it. Is finding the people you can rely on enough to understand that you are in that situation. That is the point. That is telling them how you feel.
Right.
It's not that you can't do it. It's not that you're giving up. It's that you need somebody to do this. But you can't say that for everything.
I guarantee
you have to struggle. You have to walk into that wall. You have to have bruises all over you your entire life for the rest of eternity. That is literally it. And when I have big bruises from walking into tables, I walk into tables a lot, right? And they're always on my legs, right? Those bruises are not just bruises. Those are the reminders that everything is going to hurt a little bit more than it does for everyone else.
Right.
And that's okay.
I think that's a good topic for next week, asking for help, and like the ups and downs of asking for help. Because like there's some positive people that you'll get when you ask for help, and then there's the things that'll make you absolutely pull your hair out. Like look for help from somebody else like that. I understand, like sometimes there's you really need to ask for help, but the people who go, man, I just can't ask anybody for help. Sometimes I understand why. Sometimes I can totally understand why.
But nobody's going to ask you for help if you don't ask them for help. Like they won't feel comfortable enough to ask you for help if you're not allowing them to help you. But sometimes you need to train people and say, I don't need help with that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need everybody in the country hearing that I'm blind before I walk into a room.
Yeah.
But maybe when I go, what kind of burgers do they have? You could be like, they have bacon. You know, so you don't have to walk in and go, he's blind. Renegotiate all your surroundings right now. Here he comes.
I've had that happen.
We've all had that happen.
I appreciate the people with that passion. I appreciate those are trainable people to me. You know,
I'm stubborn. I don't need. Here's how I feel about help. Right. People have to give us. Let's use the ride example. We need rides all the time for all sorts of stupid stuff. Right. My girlfriend likes to pick me up from work and bring me home. She's wonderful. I appreciate it a lot. But my stipulation with that is I need to be able to do it on my own. You're not getting me because you have to. You're not getting me because I'm asking you to. You're getting me because you like to. That's it.
Yeah.
And so if she were to decide tomorrow that she didn't want to pick me up from work, right? She does not have to.
Yeah.
Right.
I will get home on my own. I will get on a bus. I will get the Uber. I will do the thing, right? I am capable of it. I will do it myself. And that is how it works. And if that's not the case, then I don't want the help.
Yeah. Right. I get it.
I don't want the ride, right? I don't want the ride unless you're doing it because you want to. And, it's a very stubborn moment for me, right? And I had to teach. I met her, 4+ years ago, just a little over 4 years ago. And this was one of those things early on where it's like, this is how this works. I'm thrilled you want to come get me so you can spend an extra 2 hours with me. Right? Like, that's wonderful. But that's why you do it. You don't do it because you have to. You're not required to come pick me up. You're not required to do this. And it always is that way. And so if you have to do something else that randomly, and she'd always be like, I'm so sorry, I have to go do this thing. I'd be like, it's fine. We're going to get home at the same time now. And that's how it has to be, or I can't handle it.
Man, there's a whole, there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, this is a big thing to unpack.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if we can call dibs now, but I'd like to cover this one next week.
Definitely.
Oh goodness.
I do want to say thank you for the help, everybody, though. It really does.
Everyone who's ever helped me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm sorry,
it doesn't go unappreciated. Even the ones that try to do it at the worst possible times. Right. Trust me, we appreciate it. Yes, we might be annoyed at that time, but
that's what we
know you have a good heart. We know you're always in the right place.
Being annoyed with a situation is different than being annoyed with a person.
Yeah,
If you walk in while I'm having an angry moment, yes, you're going to get a little anger thrown on you. And I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
But that's why I do things in private, because I get angry at myself and then I calm down and go on with life. I don't let my shit roll downhill. I don't get angry and run around and make it other people's problem.
Yeah. You try to unpack it by yourself. But and one of the things I don't think people really understand is especially this group here, nobody understands how difficult it is to accept help as a man.
Right.
Because in society teaches you that as a man, you're not supposed to need help for anything. Right. So because you're a man, you're supposed to be able to do everything all by yourself. Being a disabled man is a tougher hill to climb. Because now people aren't just looking at you as an incapable person. They see you as a worth, because men, a lot of times you're judged by what you can do, what you can and can't do. The less that they see that you can do, the less valuable they see you as a person. So it's definitely a hard hill to climb, and it can definitely make you frustrated. Speaking of frustrated,
constantly proving to people that you can do something constantly.
Yeah. Your whole life is almost like I have to, a lot of times for me, I feel like I have to prove myself daily. Just that I'm capable and able to contribute.
And this is how I've explained it to Rachel in particular. Is like, I don't I don't have to prove this to anybody but myself.
Yeah.
Right.
I have to prove it. I have to prove it to me. That's what it's about. And that's a weird kind of like thing.
That's
like,
a journey to get to there, though. It's not, you don't start there. You
and
start by proving it to other people, but eventually you realize they're not going to be around in those times that matter.
Yeah.
So prove it to yourself, make yourself proud, and forget about everybody else.
And I think that will continuously transition as you do, as you grow up. Like, I don't think that journey really ever ends. I'm 29, right? Like, I don't have kids. I don't, every step of my life that changed what that meant. When it was, it was school, it was school. When it was college, it was college. When it was work, it was work. And it's that journey and that transition over and over and over again. And that's the thing is it's sure you can say, yeah, you've made it past it. You proved it to yourself. You proved it to the people you need to, right? But then I don't know, you throw something else into the wheel, right? Oh, now I own this house, right? I bought a house. I couldn't live in apartments anymore. I couldn't stand it, right? And so when I moved in here 2 years ago, almost to the date, right, I had to learn a shit ton of things really fast. How to do all sorts of stuff I had never done before. And so every one of those stupid things is that journey over again.
Yeah.
Right. And so when we're at the hardware store and I have to buy something stupid like a lawnmower, right, I need to not only think about, just buying a lawnmower, which I have no idea anything about, right? I have no idea what I'm doing. I need to also now bring it home and figure out how the fuck to use it.
Yeah.
Right. And I need that time to be frustrated and angry about it because it's never going to be easy for me.
Right.
It's just not that I can't do it. And I do it every week now.
You know what's super cool about that though is like once Dave figures out the lawnmower, I could call Dave and say, I'm having an issue with my lawnmower. And he could literally talk me through it without even seeing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just, I want to touch this. Are you touching that? Now turn it. And he would just know because he did it without sight,
Right. Yeah. Is there these kind of clips? Is this the thing? Does this need to be tight? Did you find the little tiny little key that actually needs to be popped into the thing?
Right.
That they tell you in the manual. They tell you to take that key out and put it somewhere safe. Guess what you don't do? Take out that tiny little stupid key and go put it somewhere else. Leave it in the damn lawnmower. The thing's not gonna start without gas, or it's not gonna start without the battery. So guess what? It's perfectly safe.
It's perfectly safe.
Don't listen. But you got to know that. You got to just accept that. You go, well, if I move that stupid little thing, I'm going to lose it. That's an exception. That's my life. I know it. I'm not listening to the manual right now.
That's me. I'll take that little piece and lose it every single time. I love the hobbies that we've covered. I mean, cars, music, skiing. I love audio editing.
I love audio editing. I should have gone into audio
because I can
video.
just close my eyes and I can hear the conversation. And like I've taken people that stammer through conversations and edited it into just the most amazing content. And I think that's
like
cool,
this show.
No, this show, you guys are all trained in professional TikTok conversational.
Yeah, he's giving us too much credit. He's giving us too much credit.
That's why I went to the pros here. You know what I mean?
Definitely went to
I do love audio editing. I love conversation. And like that's why I do this, because I used to take Internet Archive stuff and like edit it, George Carlin, and make it listenable, or Martin Luther King and make it
that TikTok training. I definitely watched all the I definitely watched every TikTok tutorial. I went through the entire creative guide that they have. I went through all of it, thought provokedly about every single sentence and word. I read every single help article. Definitely did all that before I started making TikToks about my dog.
And then said screw it and hit record. Like
right. I don't want to like, even in a video game, I try not to follow the instructions. I try and learn everything. You know what I mean? That's me.
Yeah. You gotta do it. I gotta do it wrong to do it. That's how you do it.
That's right.
I was just gonna say, I'm that kid that you tell not to touch the stove. And the only reason I'm gonna learn that the stove is hot is by touching the stove.
Right.
Yeah, that's really it.
or touch it in a way where you go, haha, I didn't get burned because I'm smart.
I didn't walk into that wall because I've hit that wall 25 other times.
That's right. That's right. That's hilarious. I was walking through I was in the kitchen. The transitions from light to dark for me are just horrible, you know? And I was in the kitchen and I made a sandwich and I turned off the light and I went walking through the dark living room and I ran into the wall. And I was just like, there's a little door opening there and I have to aim for the opening and it's dark on either side and I just right into the wall. Then my friend caught me and he was like, I'm sorry, we'll have to put a light in there. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah, put a light in there. It's not going to make a difference.
I just need something to aim for. It was just a big black and I knew about where I was aiming for, but I was off. But even a little neon, bump dot would help if I could just get close enough to see it,
I just get up at night and just walk through things. Like I'll bring my phone and usually turn on the flashlight.
Oh, there you go.
But I'm not usually counting on it.
I just feel my way.
You learn to not rely on it. That's why we're trained to hear things. It's not even so much that you're like legitimately trained to hear things. It's just that you've learned that that's way more reliable to listen for a car coming than knowing you see a car coming. Like until we make all these cars that don't make any sound. But that's a whole nother topic for next time here on Inspirations Beyond Disabilities.
That's right.
Am I wrapping up the show? Am I allowed to do that?
You are allowed to do that.
Of course, if you guys enjoyed this program, this wonderful version of this program available as part of Public Access America. I am Dave Moore. Joining me was Ezrick. Hi, Ezrick. You were very quiet. Also was Jay, the baritone blurred from TikTok, and Jason from the actual Public Access America. Guys, we'll be here next week to talk about more disability things. I wonder if the girls will actually come back and do a show.
How do you accept help? What do you accept help for?
No, he is trying his hardest to get Shy to jump into we're just gonna be talking one day and Shy is just gonna come in here and curse him out. I'm gonna mute my microphone and just watch.
I know Caitlin can be mad. I've seen Caitlin mad. Caitlin can get mad, right?
Yeah.
I believe Brittany can really really she could throw down. I haven't seen Shy yet.
And that's the way you
legitimately get mad. I just want to see what do I got to do, Shy?
I never want to see Shy mad.
No, I don't either.
I don't either.
She's such an amazing energy. I never want her angry.
Listen,
Shy, you're wonderful. I'm just throwing.
The thoughts, views, and opinions expressed by Dave Moore are reflective of Dave Moore and Dave Moore only. Dave Moore will only catch the wrath of Shy whenever she throws those verbal hands back at Dave.
I will hide underneath my desk.
Yeah.
We used to have a disclaimer on my podcast network that was like the opinions expressed by each individual host are of their own and not reflective of the Day Space Podcast Network that no longer exists. And I had to run that because people would say things like I do.
My opinions are all mine. And I love you guys. That's an opinion.
Yeah.
That's an opinion.
I second that opinion.
Love it.
Love you.